I promised you a world tour. Shall we get on with it? Yeah, let's get on with it. Nothing's changed here. One or two things have changed here. Since we're here, let's start here. My second factory floor, basically. As with any good factory floor, it starts with a power plant. In this case, a maximum strength boiler, steam engine. To get maximum strength, you have to have superheated blaze burners. So we have a clever scheme for that. And we have a lot of water pumps. A lot of water pumps pumping water into it. And our lava farm, normal vanilla lava farm up to this level. So it's just lava on top of a block, on top of pointed dripstone, dripping into cauldrons. But then below that we get a bit create. We have these fluid pumps that pump the lava out of the cauldrons into the storage. And we have 792 buckets of lava here, which should be enough. Down here we have, up in there we have a whole lot of blaze cake bases, and I will show you where those come from. Going into the barrel, going into the hopper, going into that depot. From that depot it drops down here, where lava gets poured onto it, and then it drops down there, and the mechanical arm here picks them up from there and feeds the blaze burners. And thus we have a maximum power steam engine. Starting a steam engine, especially one this size with that many pumps and things behind it, is a bit of a pain. So we have a special starter mechanism, which is that line of shafts coming down from there. So let's go into GT Cam. Ta-da! Big windmill. That big windmill comes down here into this gearbox, and then this clutch would let the power through to here, except that at the moment the clutch is disabled because this lever is powered. But that windmill cannot turn the whole factory. So we also have this redstone link, which would also get power from this lever, which comes over here, and then through this logic gate's NOT gate, negates the signal onto this clutch. And this clutch, if it's powered, disconnects most of the factory, including those pumps down there, from the power source, from the steam engine. If this thing is stopped for some reason, we just come in along here, we flick the switch, which makes the windmill start turning this engine, which in turn turns all the fluid pumps and also provides power to the mechanical arm to start feeding the blaze burners. I might demonstrate this by flipping this around. Let's do that. Now there's no more lava going into the blaze cake filler, so eventually this thing's going to run out of fuel and the steam engine's going to stop. Now you might say, but there's stuff over there too. Yes, the power here comes up from here and behind the wall here. It goes all the way through to this, but as you can see, this isn't running. We have a master switch here. So we throw that switch and all of the load from these things goes away. Now, starting these blaze burners is going to take a while, so I won't be able to show you the startup sequence right now, but maybe at the end of this tour this engine will be stopped and we can restart it using the windmill. While we wait for that, here's my auto packing system, so I can make quartz blocks, I can make bricks, blocks of bricks, gold, copper, iron, zinc, and that one is just for the other stuff, lapis, redstone, clay, that kind of stuff. It's got a bit of a clever system here. So this tank here, number 67, which, as you can see, 67 compactor input, is the same ID as a tank somewhere else that produces a lot of nuggets. The nuggets come out of here, they go into here as a buffer. Anything that goes into the buffer comes out that side, and then there are filters here that pull them into the appropriate basins, and they get squishified. If the basin's full, it'll actually just go all the way around, and then this filter will pick them up and put them back into the buffer. So if I'm doing a lot of copper, I see a lot of copper nuggets come through here. Also, what I get here is, stick with the copper ingots. So copper ingots will also pop out here once they've been made, and they'll go back in there, boom, and go out again, because I'm not interested in copper ingots, I want blocks of copper. So then they go back into here and they get squashed again with say 9, and there's a block, and it goes past this and into this buffer, which is purely a buffer. There's no filtering here. It's just to prevent the belts from overfilling. And then this funnel picks everything up that comes from this side into this tank, and my blocks end up here. Because sometimes the things are so full that that buffer over there doesn't even hold everything. Sometimes they'll end up in here. When they do, this funnel will just eject the stuff that can be processed further, and they go back into the system. Here's my sturdy sheet farm, sturdy sheet manufacturing facility. Sturdy sheets are for trains. So you stick obsidian dust in there, some lava gets poured on it, it gets squashed twice, and sturdy sheets end up in here. Fairly straightforward cobble generator. Works by the normal principle of lava falls down onto water, turns into stone, and then these drills break the stone down into cobblestone, and it falls down onto the belts and gets fed through here. We have a threshold switch here which disables the cobble gen when this thing is full, and as you can see, 49,000 cobblestone at the moment in here. We also have a little bit of a thing down here that pulls some out, so because getting stuff out of here is always a pain, so I always have something at the bottom that just pulls some of it out in case I want to get my hands on some cobblestone. We also have over here a funnel that fires cobblestone up onto this belt, which then gets buffered here, and then through here gets split 50-50 between that line and that line. This line pushes it through a single set of crushers, so we get gravel going in there, and this line pushes it through a double set of crushers, so we get sand, clay and flint going in there. In addition, I can put obsidian in here, which will then always be filtered out to just this line, so it goes through a single set of crushes and we get obsidian dust coming out the bottom. So if I switch this on, you can see the direction everything's running. Everything comes in here and gets split over to these, and they get crushed and put in here. From the bottom of this, we extract with these filters the 5 products that we could get coming into here, because this one does clay balls and obsidian dust. And then with these pipes from Modern Dynamics, they go in here, and this is through tank entanglement hooked up to my central storage system. So let's actually do some obsidian while we're here. We grab a stack of obsidian and we go up here, and the obsidian just goes in there. Obsidian comes out and goes into the crushers, and then we can go down to the bottom here and we can see obsidian takes a little while to crush. There we go, obsidian dust and remaining obsidian. The obsidian crushing formula is actually pretty awesome, because you're always going to get a powdered obsidian, and you've got a 75% chance of getting your obsidian block back as well. So powdered obsidian is relatively cheap to make. Pretty cool. And that's used for sturdy sheets. I also have here my whole little extraction process for clay balls, and we'll see where those go just now. Here's Tam's favorite factory, chocolate. So this factory uses hopper botany pots to get beans and cocoa beans and sugar cane, and the milk comes through and goes in there, and chocolate comes out. And then from that you can make bars of chocolate and chocolate glazed berries, and she likes those. She really likes chocolate glazed berries and bars of chocolate. I wonder why. Maybe it's got something to do with the fact that she's 11. This is why I have that thing hooked up for the clay balls. Clay balls come in here, they get turned into bricks, and then these two tanks are the same ID, so then they can go through again and turned into worn bricks. So there I make a lot of bricks and worn bricks. This is just for coloring stuff like glass and terracotta. This one here I can use to make train tracks. I have iron nuggets in there. This filter here, or is it this filter? One of these filters will filter this cutter or mechanical saw to make stone or smooth stone slabs. You put a smooth stone slab and apply a iron nugget to it twice and then squash it, you get out a train track. This one here is a limestone generator. Limestone can be generated in much the same way as stone is generated from lava, except that instead of water you use honey. So you pour lava onto flowing honey and you get a block of limestone. Yeah, don't ask me why. That doesn't make any logical sense to me either, but there's the fact. So here we get limestone. A fairly straightforward little blaster. Cobblestone goes in there, depending on which direction the switch is going. It either comes in here as stone or it goes there and it gets melted again. It comes out here as smooth stone. next to it, and almost part of it, is my mud maker. I put dirt in there. I've got water coming in here, so we have water, dirt, mix. And what happens if you mix water and dirt? You get lovely mud pies. Here is my rose quartz factory. So again, quartz, redstone, they get mixed together. Rose quartz comes out into a little buffer, just a small buffer, and then up here we have a whole lot of sandpaper to then polish it into polished rose quartz. This is the Royal Mint. Nobody allowed in there. This is where money is made, literally. Quite simply, don't tell anyone, I can put ingots or blocks of iron, copper or gold in there. They come through here, they get broken up one level. So a block would be broken up into 9 ingots, an ingot would be broken up into 9 nuggets. If it's an ingot, it goes back up again, so it comes down again. So just nuggets come out here, and they get stamped into coins. And that's our money on the server. I think that's pretty much this factory done and dusted. Except for, I promised, oh, it has stopped, cool. I promised to show you the source of all of these blaze cake bases. We'll do that. But first, let's fire up the old steam engine, shall we? So firstly, let's turn that around so that the pump will now pump out lava from there. And then we go over here and we say start. Oh, and it doesn't start. The reason it doesn't start is it's overstressed for the simple reason that this is still switched on. That has to be switched off for the engine to start. I couldn't quite figure out an automated way of switching that off at the same time. Start, and the windmill starts turning the engine, and there we go. And as soon as it starts turning faster, there we go, that's going fast enough. We can then switch off the starter motor because now it's self-sustaining. And as more and more blaze burners get fed, the boiler level goes up and up until it gets to maximum. There we go. And now the boiler is running. Blaze cake bases. To make a blaze cake base, you need 3 things. You need eggs, you need sugar, it's a cake after all, and you need something called cinder flour. Cinder flour is obtained by crushing netherrack. So one of the main things that this old crusher setup of mine does is it crushes netherrack. Large quantities of netherrack. Take that out. The netherrack goes into that tank over there, which is also over here. I have 8k cinder flour in there at the moment. That tank over there is also a tank sitting just above this. That one. So as I crush netherrack, the cinder flour goes in here, and then it goes into this mixer, which is fed with enormous quantities of eggs and sugar and netherrack, cinder flour. We go into this basin and it gets squashed into blaze cake bases. And this tank, inventory 41, is used by all my steam engines as their fuel input. I don't know if I've shown this. This machine here is for making the docks for tank storage. fairly straightforward really, because you need black concrete, so it's gravel, sand, black dye, which gets mixed into black concrete, and that drops into this water stream, into this washer, and then eventually gets, once it's turned into concrete instead of concrete powder, it goes in here. And if I switch the switch on, it drops off there, and this mechanical arm will start crafting them. Similar thing here for making danks. I have a lot in there, so I won't run it now. To make a dank, you need a barrel and 8 coal. So this mechanical arm will just pick up the barrels and the coal and craft. Hello, Jelly. Oh, that wasn't very clever, but okay. I can't even remember. Oh, that was my wrench. Okay. And you'll see it doesn't appear immediately. So that's red rock. Since my wrench has disappeared, I might as well show you why. So let us go to my storage area. My storage area is underground at spawn chunks. Underneath here is a magnum torch, because really I don't want to be dealing with mobs. The secret with spawn chunks is that they are always loaded. You don't need a chunk loader. Spawn chunks are always loaded. So this is all my storage here. And you'll see there's a lot of pipes here. The reason for that being, this tank here is my building blocks. So they get extracted from my storage automatically and stuck in here, so that I can build easily without having to go back and forth to storage. This one here, stuff goes into the storage from this, so everything is extracted from this and distributed to the storage. The funny thing is, if I put something in through this wireless terminal, it goes through the pipes for some reason. I don't know why, but if I put something in through the wireless terminal, it will be unavailable for like 30 seconds before it shows up as being available in storage. Here I just have a little automatic, a tiny little automatic blaster. Originally purely for sponges, because I was using quite a lot of sponges in one place, and all I needed to do was just dump the wet sponges into my storage mod, and then they would get pushed through here and then go back into the storage there as dry sponges. I have started work on something at the bottom here. I'm not sure about the decorations yet, although I do thoroughly love that illusion at the top, because it looks 3D, but it ain't. If you look at it from down here, it looks like the yellow is the lowest level and the orange goes up and up and up and up and up like that. So that's a lovely illusion. I really enjoy that. This was going to be, I wanted to do a storage system that was purely create mod and Tom Simple storage, or maybe not even Tom Simple storage, just create mod. But I had second thoughts once I realized just how enormous it would have to be, and after the amount of time I spent just digging out this piece, I figured no, it's too much hassle. So at the moment what it is this tank here, tank number 98, which I don't even have listed in my list of tanks. Tank number 98 is basically the one that I use for bulk importing things into my storage. So if I go and grab the copy of tank 98 out of there, what I would do is I would switch this to pickup mode to pick up anything that drops around me, and then it automatically just goes into my storage. But now with this big area here, what I've decided to do instead is it'll go into this and it will get sorted into here. So first couple of things I drop in there will show up in here, and then here, and so on and so forth. And if it ever ends up here, then I know I've put way too much stuff in through that mechanism. The filter here, and wherever I use this Dank 98, wherever I extract from this Dank 98, there's a filter that specifically says do not extract netherrack and cobblestone, because when I want to make blaze cakes, when I need some more cinder flour, I just take a Dank 98 and I feed it straight into my crushing thing at Red Rock to turn it into cinder flour. Where shall we go next? Well, Tam said I must do all my technical stuff first, because she doesn't even want to log onto the server while I'm busy recording a tour of the technical stuff, of my silly technology as she calls it. Let's go to this one, Gold Farm. It's not so much technology, but still. So we're at the top of the Gold Farm, and if we go down here, it's a fairly straightforward gold farm based on the turtle eggs. So the glass layer is to stop ghast spawning. The zombified piglins can spawn on the magma blocks. They see the turtle egg, they want to come kill the turtle egg, and for some strange reason they are stupid enough to think they can walk over opened trapdoors and they fall down. So we have 3 layers of that with turtle eggs, and I specifically had to actually put these trapdoors up here as well, because sometimes the ones from that layer would be able to jump down and hit this one. So I lost a lot of turtle eggs that way, and they just fall down and die on top of a lot of hoppers. We'll pop down to the hoppers just now, because that's where the technology stuff starts. It's quite fun watching them tumbling out here. And if we go down to the bottom of the gold farm, that's where the technology is. So here's the area where these guys fall down and die, and the hopper chain goes in there, and then these pipes put it in there, and this tall tower of chests is here, was here before I did it the automated, before I put the mechanics in. So I thought I might need a lot of storage, but it turns out I don't. So it all just comes down to this. Anything that is not a gold nugget will come this way, and I have no idea what's been dropping clay balls, but that's a lot of clay balls. It might also be there might be some sort of mix up with inventory IDs, because I don't recall zombie pigmen dropping clay balls, especially not that many clay balls. Gold nuggets come out this side and they get squashed into gold ingots, and the gold ingots go in here. So that's what this windmill, it's actually weird because it's a windmill sitting in the nether, but anyway, that's what that does. It squishes them and runs the, well, there aren't any belts here, so it just squashes them. So we get gold ingots in there. And then we have our 2 hostages up here. I can't remember if they have names. Yes, they, well. Ooh, are you grumpy with me? Oh yes, I'm not wearing any gold. But anyway, these tanks up here have the same ID. 101. So the gold going in there appears up here too. And I have a redstone link up here. There it is, linked over here. This little setup, I have a timer here set to 7 seconds. Also logic gates, which then goes through a pulse extender of 2 ticks, which then goes into a NOT gate, and then to my redstone link. And that lever there is the off switch for the trading setup. The reason it's 7 seconds is that it takes a piglin 6 seconds to complete a trade. So they'll stand and stare at the thing, at the gold, for 6 seconds before they give you something. The reason this is 2 ticks is because that's how long it takes for these brass funnels to drop 1 item. So every 7 seconds, if that switch is in the right position, 1 gold ingot will be dropped on each of these 2 piglins. They'll take 6 seconds staring at it and then try and throw some sort of trade at you, and that just goes in here. These 2 tanks have the same idea as well, so this is my trade goods. Since I have a little bit of gold in there now, boom. And there we go, gold. Stares at it. And trade, and boom, the next one drops. So it may look like a fairly simple, straightforward machine, but getting the timing worked out correctly was quite interesting. Let's go to the ice farm. Ooh. It's dark and scary out here. It's also snowy, I shouldn't have slept. Because we got my powdered snow collection going on here, but it's got to snow for that to fill up. Come on. Come, dude. Okay, so this is my ice farm. The thing with ice is it's a water source block. It has to be a water source block, and it has to have at least 1 solid block next to it. Now that could be ice or it could be stone or whatever, but there has to be 1 solid block next to it. So I've got this set up here. These are all slabs, waterlogged slabs, which means if this ice block is broken, the 2 slabs, slab on either side, will turn this into a water source again. I've got a couple of cobblestone blocks in the middle here just to slightly increase the number of water source blocks that have a solid block next to them. And then underneath, hello fishies, you're in for a bad time. Underneath I've got this grid pattern of linear chassis that are all glued together, and these cobblestone blocks are also glued to the linear chassis. The reason for that being that the trick with an ice farm is to maximize the amount of time that your source blocks are exposed to the sky. So I could literally just go through and harvest, but then I also end up with this kind of nonsense. I keep getting stuck. So instead, I have a little contraption here. This mechanical piston is connected to this grid. If that triggers, the sequence gear shift lifts it up by 1 block and then lowers it again. So it pushes all the ice out of the water level. So it pushes the ice blocks up, which in itself is not that great, because the ice block will stop the water underneath it from freezing again, which is why on exactly the same signal I have this one here, which waits 5 seconds. That's how long that piston takes, and then it pushes this long pusher all the way across to here. It'll pick up all the ice and push it over. So let's take a look. comes the ice, down goes the grid, and off goes the sweeper. And as you can see already, ice is starting to form. There's one there. There. That wouldn't have frozen if that ice was still on top of it. So that maximizes the amount of time that these water sources are exposed to the air. And then I can literally just go along here and grab my magnet to make it a bit easier and vein mine ice. The thing that's been my obsession for the last while is the island. The island is where I've been doing a lot of create stuff. Building weird and wonderful contraptions, and then building so-so buildings around them. Like this little waystone station, and the little foreman's hut, or little manager's hut. The manager's hut is literally, it's got all the workstations and things, and it's got a connection to a little local storage network which has connectors running underground to the different machines. And the first thing I built here was obviously my power station, my steam engine, exactly the same as in the other factory, except that these pumps are running a lot faster, so I only needed 2. The reason those pumps are running a lot faster is because I'm not powering them from the steam engine itself, I'm powering them from that windmill. So the pumps always have power going to them. Makes life a lot easier. Steam engine, same setup with the blaze cakes. And here's my blaze cake bases. They go in there, they go in there, they hand feed, mechanical arm feeds the burners. The reason I built that is because I wanted to build this. Now I did goof a little bit on this machine. This is a copper ager. Straightforward little, well, straightforward. I think I invented this thing if I'm not mistaken. I suspect this one might be my actual invention. I didn't see any tutorials doing anything remotely like this. So I have these pipes, which could be belts as well. I mean, it's not inconceivable. I have these pipes distributing copper blocks to the deployers to place copper blocks. Down there I have smart observers looking at it, and if it's a oxidized copper block, a fully oxidized copper block, then the drill activates, breaks the copper block, and it drops down into the barrel at the bottom, and then another copper block can be placed. The way I goofed is with the spacing. 1, 2, 3. That should be 4. To maximize copper aging with the separation method, it's necessary to have 4 spaces between your copper blocks. I put 3 in, not 4. So these modules are all of them 1 block too close to each other to be completely optimized. But oh well, too bad. And then these pipes just pull this stuff out of the barrel again and stick it there. So I've put in blocks of copper there, and I get oxidized copper out there. It's fairly big, and it has produced a fair bit. It's produced a fair bit of oxidized copper. I don't put all my blocks of copper in there because sometimes I do need copper ingots and copper nuggets for stuff, but quite a lot of them go in there. And then I built, well, there's a bit of a story. I built a building around it, a sort of a factory kind of building, which was all good and well. But then just after I finished building that, I had a bit of an incident with my server related to electricity, and I had to restore a backup. And the last backup was from just before I started building the building around this thing. So I started over with a completely new design. The next building is my iron farm. Now here we have a Tango Tech cobble generator. I call it a Tango Tech cobble generator because Tango invented it. He showed it in a video on their Create server, and it is awesome. This thing's a beast. It generates cobble at such a rate that most of the time when I'm playing I don't actually see it running because this threshold switches it off. So it's not running most of the time. Because it just generates cobble too fast. Cobble comes out here, gets crushed into gravel. Gravel goes in there. Here I have fans blowing up. Well, yeah, I have fans blowing up through water, which washes the gravel. And I get iron nuggets coming out here. I just have a little bit of an extraction point here. Iron nuggets go in here and into the basin and get squashed into iron ingots, and I extract some again. Iron ingots get squashed into blocks and we have a bit of iron. Over here we have, because I have so much cobble, I have a system here where cobble actually through dank entanglement ends up here, gets crushed into gravel and sand, both of which get stored in bulk. And I can put dye in here and I get concrete coming out and concrete powder. The build around this thing is in part inspired by Grian. Yes, I know it's ugly as sin, and Grian's builds are not ugly as sin, but it's not the look of the build that's inspired by Grian. Grian is infamous for not finishing the back of his base. I decided to actually do the back of the build, but not the top. I didn't do the top, haha. So the top of the build is not done, but at least you can see what happens now. This tank is attached to the bottom of my cobble generator there. Gravel comes out, gets crushed. Cobble comes out, gets crushed into gravel. And some of it is extracted to the side. Gravel comes out here, gets crushed into sand, clay and flint. The flint is discarded completely. The sand is used. Sand and gravel can come through to this mixer, which does concrete. So you put dye in, the dye goes in, that mixes up concrete powder, and this extractor here splits it 50-50 between that tank and that barrel. What comes into this barrel goes into the water stream and gets washed into concrete. So here you get concrete, and there you get concrete powder. And then off to the side, at all the stages, well, not the cobble stage, but at the gravel stage and the sand stage, I have a bit of an extraction to the side, just in case I need some. So, for instance, there's a lot of gravel. And then on this side, this one extracts to two places. So that connection there goes there and there. On this side, I extract clay balls and flint, but the flint gets forwarded on to this trash can because there is such a thing as too much flint. So I'm basically collecting clay balls here. There goes a bit of flint. And on this side I collect sand. The sand then is extracted from there into here, where it is, when it's dropped into a haunting setup. I'm standing on top of a soul campfire, to be haunted into this stuff, which is soul sand. If you wash soul sand, you get quartz and gold. I've got such a lot of gold, I don't really need about this, but you never know. So I'll just keep dumping it in there. So this is just a quartz generator. It's an automatic little quartz generator in the background. This is a smelter, a bulk blaster. It's only got 3, but still. So I put something in there. It goes into the system. It gets blasted and comes out here. I've got a lot of charcoal in here because I need charcoal. I've actually got a pipe running out from underneath this to where I need the charcoal. And there's a master switch here to switch it off, which should be off, which takes me into this. So before, let's just ignore all that, don't pay no mind. That pipe from the bottom, yeah, extracts charcoal into here, which is a slightly more, it's a hybrid traditional smoker array. So if I want to smoke something in there, boom, it gets distributed round robin. Charcoal, round robin, and then what's been smoked comes out and ends up in here. The other thing is I should try and make this look like an elephant because it's the elephant in the room. It's pretty big. It's a dual layer farm. At the bottom layer here, we have sugarcane in botany pots, hopper botany pots, going into hoppers, coming into this chest. This chest is full. In fact, that chest is not even outputting, it's not saying to anything right now. So the logic on this is reversed. On this side, I have 1 or 2 chickens. And the 1 or 2 chickens lay 1 or 2 eggs. The eggs come out all the way through to here, and everything ends up in here. The reason the sugarcane is not actually sending anywhere at the moment is because I'm out of space for sugarcane. On this side, extract the sugarcane, we're crushing it into sugar, and it goes into the same ID. So I've got an enormous amount of sugar here, and quite a lot of eggs, and this is what feeds into, at Red Rock, into my Blaze Cake base machine. Those are the actual factories. I don't think these builds look too terrible. I mean, yeah, they're pretty regular and not very textured and stuff, but you know, with a chip mod, you do get some fairly nice looking buildings without too much hard trying. And I think that's going to conclude it for the technical bits, the machinery bits. Maybe we'll take a look at some other stuff just now. So, yeah, the tour of the technical bits took a little bit longer than expected. So what Tam and I have decided to do is split the world tour into 2 episodes. Episode 1 being this episode, which was basically looking at all the technical stuff, all the create mod stuff. And then the next episode is going to be a tour led by Tam of the non-technical stuff, the builds, her builds, and then I'll show her my builds and she'll ask me some questions about them and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a fun one. If you hadn't noticed, since the beginning of the episode I had game sounds switched off. There is madness to the method, as some people say. The game sounds were switched off because create contraptions are noisy. They are really noisy, so I just decided to do the whole video without game sounds. So I hope you enjoyed this. I should do an ether. I hope you enjoyed this and it was interesting for you, and I might do at least one tutorial on that copper ages thing that I designed. So there might be a tutorial video coming up soon. How does ether do this? And once again, all the music apart from the usual jingle at the beginning, which is also a T&A tune, which is quite well known to everybody by now. All the other music in this video has been from Dion's second album, entitled Nothing to Lose. Give it a look, it's awesome. Thanks, Dion, and we will talk next time.